Hi, I'm Mike Warner, this year's president of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. I would like to welcome you to the 2018 Candidates Forum in partnership with Medina TV. All candidates in contested races were invited to be interviewed. I'm pleased to be joined by Jared Fry of Medina TV for the interviews. We hope you find these interviews informative and helpful as you cast your vote. We'd like to welcome Judge Mary Kovack, candidate for the Medina County Domestic Relations Judge, to the Greater Medina Chamber and Medina TV Candidates Forum. Let's begin by having you tell us about yourself.
Okay, I've been Medina County's Domestic Relations Court Judge for 18 years. I started out after law school as a judicial attorney for 2 judges on 2 different courts of appeals. Then I went to work for the Medina County prosecutor as an assistant doing child support enforcement. After that, I opened my own practice of law, and then I was fortunate enough to be elected judge. And other than that, I love to be involved in the community. My favorite thing to do is being a merit badge counselor for the Boy Scouts.
Oh, very nice. Very good. For the viewers at home, can you tell us a little bit about the Medina County Domestic Relations Judge, what your responsibilities are?
Sure. The court actually handles 3 types of broad kinds of cases. One is marriage terminations, and that's dissolutions, as well as divorces. The second is domestic violence, and the third is called parentage. And what that basically means is if you have a situation where a child is born with 2 unmarried parents, you have to establish who dad is, and then you go through all of the sort of not second tier, but the underlying things that sort of cross all of those lines, like child support, all the various, right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So in terms of this, what skills and expertise do you bring to the position of judge?
Well, I think I have quite a bit of legal experience, 29 years. I certainly had some broad experience in the beginning, and as a domestic relations court judge, a lot of the issues you face are broader. I mean, you have bankruptcy, you have insurance, you have to, be a jack of all trades in some sense. However, I also have a lot of experience specifically in family law, both with the 18 years as a judge, but also in private practice. I did mostly family law. I was very familiar with child support. So I think I have the knowledge. And then I think I also have the skills to kind of team build within our court. I don't think of it as sort of a hierarchy. We all work together because we have very upset people coming in all the time.
Sure.
And so it's important to work as a team to solve problems.
Sure.
Yeah, it sounds like a tremendous challenge to keep all that flowing in the right direction. What do you perceive as the greatest obstacle to justice and bringing those things together?
Obstacle in the sense of?
Are there issues with funding, or is there issues with just getting people on the same page, or?
Yeah, well, there are always funding issues, but in domestic particularly, you're dealing with people who are upset about very personal things.
Sure.
So, we have a saying in the courthouse, some of the not worst people, but the people who are very difficult people are on their best behavior in criminal court. But in domestic relations, some of the nicest, upstanding, perfect people on the planet are really at their worst because they're so upset.
That's interesting, yeah.
Now, what do you see in terms of the court? They're not only in the courtroom handling the cases, but I know there have been issues and talks over the years in terms of space and providing for the court system, and especially domestic relations. What obstacles have you seen there?
There are tremendous obstacles with the space in the courthouse. I mean, it's a beautiful building, but it was built in 1843. And I believe that one judge occupied the area where we now have more than 17 people. So and what really becomes hard, not only are the courtrooms very small, but in addition to that, in family law, people need space to talk privately.
Sure.
and we don't have that. So you have people who might have a domestic violence CPO sitting across from each other, and you need security to come in and kind of keep the peace.
Yeah.
And that's not the best situation.
And on situations, I know there's been a lot of situations discussed in terms of expansion, tying in a lot of the courts, even bringing municipal over. Is there any one solution you think that would be a great fit?
It's hard to say. In my years, they've gone through so many different plans. I think it probably would make sense to have the family court pieces, like probate and juvenile and domestic, kind of in one spot, wherever that might be, so that the rest of the courts could expand. But I know they've talked about bringing over municipal court. I don't know how that would work in the space that we have.
Right. Sounds like limited to begin with. Do you have input to those decisions, or is that pretty much just at the county level?
As far as I know,
No,
we have
you
a
haven't.
representative, but
Yeah, very good.
And I guess back to your own personal skill set, I know we talked about your skills and expertise, but kind of touch on a little bit of your leadership skills and how that may differ from that of your opponent.
I have been the president of the statewide Domestic Relations Judges Association. I've also been the president of the Medina County Bar Association. I have been appointed by the Chief Justice to 3 different commissions and committees dealing with the rules, dealing with pro se or self-represented litigants, as well as on some other domestic relations issues. I have actually been sent to Harvard, of all things, by the Supreme Court to work on some issues with how to give access to justice to those who don't have the means. So, I think in those roles, I have significantly more experience, and certainly I've been able to take on a role not just in the county, but statewide.
Very nice. Now, one of the toughest issues, and it's one that really isn't in your control, but kind of maybe you can shed some light on, is voters just don't tend, I don't know whether it's make it down the ballot that far or just make it to any judicial races. Why do you think that is, and do you have any insight of what could maybe be done to improve that?
Well, that's an interesting question. They don't make it down the ballot to the judicial races. I think part of it is probably because judges can't talk about very much. They can't talk about their cases. They can't talk about how they're going to rule. So it isn't as interesting to the average voter, I think. And then judges tend to, if you're doing your job, you're not in the headlines. So you're not really making news. So therefore, if someone makes it down the ballot, they're either a very committed voter or they recognize a name, but to improve it, I think voter education, I think forums like this where judges and candidates can come on and talk about what they do and how they do it, I think that's useful. I know with the court, we do try to do public things. We've had a couple, I wouldn't call them forums, but town halls, where we could talk about a particular issue. We have a legal resource center that actually travels to all of the libraries. And so people can come in. We can't give legal advice, but we can help people through the process. We can tell them about the court. And I think those are the kinds of things that kind of inform the public about what the third branch, as we call it, does.
Because I think that does put you behind, because really the only time anyone ever gets to see you as elected officials in action is either on their worst day of their life because they're one of the people in there, handling a situation, or maybe they do get proactive and come in and sit in courtrooms because they are allowed to do so. In some cases, I know domestic relations has a few different instances of whether you can sit in or not.
No, actually, all of ours are open to the public.
Great.
Our problem is the courtrooms are so tiny.
Small, right? Yeah.
That as a practical matter, it's hard to
get a lot of people in there.
Yeah.
Now, have you seen that outreach? Does it tend to get good feedback from the public then?
Oh, absolutely. The Legal Resource Center has really grown. And we actually it's a partnership with the district libraries. So we do it twice a month. at a different library.
Right.
And then every Tuesday at the courthouse.
Oh, great.
That's a great resource for people to use. In closing, you have an opportunity to do some of your own promotion here and to talk a little bit about, what you would like the voters to know when they come to vote this year.
Okay. Well, I would very much ask for your vote because I have the experience to keep doing the job, and I think it's really important to have someone who not only has the experience but has the knowledge, and frankly, we have a really good team built at the courthouse. It's taken a lot of years, but we have a number of wonderful people who know how to help other people who are going through the worst moments in their life. And I think it's very important to have a very calm, centered group of people to help those coming in who need our services. And I think we do as great of a job as we possibly can to find ways for people to solve their own problems so that they're not in a courtroom where they have to actually say terrible things about one another or feel that they have to, because those things in a family never go away. You can't take the words back. They're etched in stone forever and ever. So I think what we do is really important work, and I really hope to be able to continue to do it for this county and this community. So I respectfully ask for your vote. Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time today with us, and we wish you the best of luck this November.
Thank you.
Thank you.